Okay, my outstanding friends. This is getting so deep, I can hardly believe it myself. Now, what am I talking about? Deep water? Well, deep into dragons. Now, I've been showing this for years. This is Typhon. He's exactly identical to what Apollodorus wrote in 180 BC about the dragon being in the desert. Well, he didn't say it was in the desert, but he said the dragon was killed by Zeus, cut his throat, and his throat is cut. It's cut right there. And this is his throat. So he's cut his throat. Now, and he bled out in the desert. I've shown it hundreds of times. Now, this is what got me. I've been studying Scorpzilla. This is Typhon. Well, there's another one that I've been working on, Scorpzilla. It has a personal reference to my family. I'm not kidding. It's just bizarre. Now, what's going on with this here? These are the dragon beards. I'm going to wash this off in a second. You'll see what really is here, because there's 3 dragon beards. I always knew there was 2. But then I'm studying Scorpzilla, and I'm seeing 3, and I'm saying, that's interesting. And the 3rd one up here is just a killer. And then I went back and I looked at Quetzalcoatl codex pictures, or drawings, or whatever you want to call them. And they had a 3rd one as well, which was the big one versus the little ones. So that really piqued my interest. Now, so what do we want to do? We want to look at Scorpzilla. And these are beards. Well, I'll show you what they are in a second. Scorpzilla has like a furry beard. Very strange. But I can show you it, and it is strange. Alright, so let me wash off my little drawings here that are on top, and you'll see where these beards are, where his eye was, and the outline of the body. Now remember this, these are all dragon scales. They're all dragon scales, and that's his throat. His throat is just a continuous, non-ending until it got cut throat. Now let's just wipe this stuff off. You can see it. I'm not hiding anything. It's all here. I'm not making anything up. What's here is here, and I didn't put it here, but it's here, and I'm trying to deal with it the best I can. Now, what was I showing? The beards. There's 2 beards coming down here. You see those 2? One comes over here. Look at all that. And one comes over here. All that stuff. Now, what was the 3rd one? The 3rd one is this one here. And that is a killer. Look at this thing. Comes down here. And it mixes with all of this other stuff. It looks like it started burning here or something. But it mixes with the back 2 and forms this extremely noxious chemistry. And that comes down and literally burns everything in front of it. I think this is smoke. It's smoky looking stuff. I don't know. I mean, it can't be still smoking, but maybe it is. I don't know. But I can tell you what, I wouldn't want to be this fish, this gigantic fish that's being killed by this dragon. You're going to have to start looking for yourself, because I've shown this hundreds of times and people it bounces off them now. Alright, so don't forget, this is the entire length of North Africa. It's over 1,000 miles long. This is the dragon, and it's an avian creature. It has a cloaca. It has the thighs of a human being, and then these coils of vipers. It's exactly what it says in Apollodorus. See, this just came in this morning. Yosemite Valley's stunning peaks could be much younger than we realized. And I agree with that 100%. Everything I'm showing to you, the dragon in the desert, Scorpzilla, every single thing is above the surface of the earth. There's nothing buried. You don't have to dig for any of this stuff. It's just laying there, decaying on the surface of the earth. Okay, This is the East Coast dragon, Quetzalcoatl. And there's his head, and there's the plumage coming off the top, just like it shows here. And here's his beards. There's two beards here, and I believe there's one right up there in the front, just like it's showing here. This is the one I never really even thought about. I really didn't think about the beards until I realized that's where all these venoms are coming out of. Now, and then his body goes all the way up the East Coast. It's as big as Typhon. Now, so, do they all have three beards? Can I show one from Scorpzilla? I believe I can. Okay, so, I've been talking about Scorpzilla. Well, what is Scorpzilla? Well, we know about Typhon. We know about Quetzalcoatl. This is Scorpzilla, and there's his scorpion pincher right there. You see that? That's his little injector. And watch how you can see quite easily that it was retractable. You see here? This thing could go back in there and then spring out and snap and inject into somebody. And when it died, it squirted all its stuff out. This, I believe, is Scorpzilla squirt. All right? That's the tip of his tail right here. That's the tip of his Scorpzilla tail. Now, this runs all the way down through Alaska, all the way down to California. Well, what is this right here? That's Lake Crowley. Remember I talk about the beards? Well, this would be a pretty serious area to have a beard. Let's see if we can find one there. Before we go there to Lake Crowley, I just want to show you, this is his eye. I mean, this is a huge creature. There was a bump on his nose, and they all pretty much have that. That's the shoulder. I looked at this extremely carefully, and where you see different variations of colors, that's where the body was. Green grows very well where there's feathers and fleshy stuff. Now, I don't know what it had on here. Usually metals and things like that don't grow all that well. And until you have biological material to eat. That's what they're eating, is biological material, blood primarily. That's what plants love. Now, this is his eye right here. Now, if you look at this very carefully, which I obviously have, this is the pupil, and of course this is around the pupil. I don't know, they call it iris or something like that. But this whole area is the eye area. And this is the head, and this is Lake Crowley. All right, don't forget, we're talking about different chemistry created to create different toxins. Now, when you see all these different colors, this is toxic. This is extremely toxic. This is toxic as hell. You see that? And you're going to be able to see different chemistry and different biology here and there, formations, what is, and then you got to really start to think about things a lot. But look at this color. Look at this color. Why is the difference? Look at this color right here where something's leaching into this. All right, and this is how I look for chemistry. Look at this color over here. What's that all about? There's a ton of chemistry going on. Look at this color here, a whole different color. These are all transition metal colors. They're all biology. So now we know where Lake Crowley is. I believe this right here is one of the runoffs. And I looked at it carefully. Right here, you see this right here? Something's running out of here. All this stuff ran out of that hole right there. This is low. This is high. This runs off. And all that stuff is as nasty as it gets. Now, this black line is railway, it looks like to me. That's best I could figure out. Now, all that stuff is running down here. It is nasty. That is extremely nasty, nasty, nasty. Now, I don't know if people go out roaming around out here and looking at this stuff. But all this, like, I guess they call it scrub. I don't know what they call it. But all of these little dots here are feeding off of some bacteria, some biology. You see that? There's some biology they're eating into that drooled out of this gash in the land here. See, it ran out of here. Now, apparently these things mix together. Look at all these the chemicals here. Now, I'm going to show you Lake Crowley, and I think you're going to agree. And plus, look at the structure of. Look at this. This is the head. This is right above his eyebrows. If you think that is normal, geology, just accidentally this runs off, and this makes dragon scales and all these little things going all over the place. That's not. First of all, nobody went out here and dug that. Secondly, this is biological patterns. This is basically a membrane or something here. And you have like a whole series of membranes that surround your vital flesh. A whole ton of them. And then there they are. All these separations. You see that? Plus, here's some looking like dragon scale plates here. And wherever you see these different colors, they're feeding off of different chemistry. And different chemistry is from different tissue types. Tendons have one type of chemistry. Vital flesh has a lot of red blood, gives a lot of real green. Look at this up here. This is all, as far as I'm concerned, this is Scorpzilla. It was a gigantic scorpion-like dragon. And right there where that pin is where the cloaca is. All right? Because I told you, the other one, the same thing, the typhon in the desert is exactly right there. Where its tail starts to come out is where the cloaca is. That's basically the way tails work. The tails I've ever seen anyway. Now, so what do we have? Let's look at Lake Crowley. Where do you see this? All right, I was showing you all those different colored pools and so forth. This is chemistry that's in your body. They carry salts from here to there. They carry carbon dioxide and oxygen, give it and take it, glucose, and all the different things that your body needs to live. And that's what was seeping out of Scorpzilla. That's why you see all these different colors. Some of them might be next to kidneys, and other ones next to heart and lungs and liver and pancreas and gallbladder and all of that. I don't know even what they had for organs back then. But this is what transfers chemistry in a body. This is what's in blood. All right, this is where Crowley Lake is. These columns are everywhere. And they are literally hairs. Okay, this is Crowley Lake. This is black. This is red. That means it's a red-blooded creature. That's the vein blood. This is the artery blood. This white stuff, I believe, and I haven't done any chemistry here, and I haven't really looked up the chemistry, but it looks like kaolin clay to me, kaolin clay, or white powdery clay. And above, there's all these just little stubs sticking up. But these are from a red-blooded creature, and they are hairs with the variegations of the little hair chunks. And they break into these little chunks. They're all over the place. You see this? This is what happens. They break into these little chunks. Hairs apparently they're separated in segments. Trees do the same thing, but now the hairs are a little different. But you can see, I mean, they're in chunks, and a lot of the biology in your body is in chunks that nobody's ever even known about. Like tendons form the tiniest little blocks, and they're absolutely flawlessly squared off and so forth. And that's what a lot of the ancient buildings were built out of, was these actually biological building blocks. Let me show you something of what a tendon can actually look like. And you know the scale we're talking about now. So if a hair can look like this, these tendon stalks can easily look like what I'm going to show you. All right, when you see tendons and so forth, we see the slurpy looking stuff. And then when you focus in closer, you see that it's quite structured. And then when you get in a little closer, and then you see they're all straps. And then you see on the end look that there's just stacks and stacks of these straps. And of course, this is in a electron microscope. Check this one out. These are what we're looking at here, these fibers. Now, you see this little thing? That's this little thing here. So we're coming closer now. So now we're going to be looking at these little spots, this particular fiber. So now we're coming in even a little closer. So now we're down into these little tiny spots, and we're starting to see a whole ton of fabric that we couldn't see before. Now we're getting even deeper, and it becomes very, very obvious. Now we're getting even deeper, and this stuff here has its own fibers. It's just amazing. Now we're even going deeper than that, and we're seeing that they're starting to grow new fibers that will end up having their own fibers. It looks like to me it's just a never-ending web. You see this right here? That is exactly what you're seeing here. So this is deeper into it. This is backed out a little further. This is backed out a little further, backed out. And this is what we see, and we don't even see this because, again, this is all microscopic stuff. All right, this is muscle tissue, and there's all these little sarcomeres in there, and they're all separated with connective tissue, so that you've got a structural, and then you've got the ability to pull it all together. See, this is one from the mud fossil, and these are the connective layer tissues, and these are the sarcomeres. Of course, it's highly magnified. Well, actually, no, it's not, because it was a gigantic creature. See what I just showed you in the mud fossil? Here it is in microscopic in us. And this is exactly what they look like, and this is a microscopic shot. They pull in. See, when they're like this, they're open. When they pull in together, these two mate together. And if you look at the treasury of Petra on both sides, you'll see these exact same blocks. You see this? The title of this picture was 150 million years in one shot. No, it's not. This was all one creature. This is actually connective tissue, and these are actually sarcomeres. I'm not kidding you. These were that big. You see that? That's like muscle tissue. This isn't just a road here and get like this, all these different colors. These are all different layers of tissue, every one of them. It didn't take 1,000,000 years for that, and another 1,000,000 for that, and another 150 million. These are layers of connective tissue. This exact spot did not erode away, and all the rest did. Simple as that. That was like a few days tops. I mean, whatever, it drowned, and then that was it. And then it started to petrify. All right, as you know, I am a microscope sort of guy. I like to see the details, and this is the details, and these are details. And what is the details of? They are tendons. And muscles have the same sort of blockiness to them, but these, I believe, are tendons. And you see the different colors? Before I showed you different oxidation states. And different oxidation states give you different colors. So these are being exposed to oxygen now. Normally they're in your body and they're not exposed to additional extra oxygens. So they would be a little different in your body. And when they were exposed into waters and leached and so forth, they'd all take on a similar color. However, and this is a big however, the two different states of blood, primarily, these are all infused with arterial blood. But at one point or another, you have to draw back blood out of this area through a vein, which that particular area will be black. All the rest of them will be a different pinkish, whitish looking. And when they're completely solidified in a certain pH, it will clean all of that stuff up and make it almost purely white. You'll see a little tiny hole that was a service hole for keeping them nutrition. And then we're going to see a black one. Guess where we're going to see that? Okay, my friends, this should put a whole new slant on things. Remember I talked about the black blood and the tendons and so forth. These pyramids, this is the top of the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. What is that? That's the vein. There was some arterial, these were arterial holes near the vein. You'll usually find the arteries and the veins around pretty close together. From this central location in here, it fed pretty much all of these. You see the little holes here and there? Hold on, let me scoot up close to there. You see the little holes in all these, well, not all of them, but most of them, you can see them. And that is where the blood supply would have been. The artery would have been coming down, feeding all of these little blocks. They don't need much blood at all. And this is the vein coming back up. The veins clamp off because they have valves in them. So that's why the black is still here. The arteries are gone. They just drained out. That's why there's still holes here. Now, these are the blocks. And I just showed you those blocks in those stacks. Now, why are the sides so perfect and everything they said about them? Well, yes, they use geopolymers. What is that? Where they crunch up these rocks and they had some kind of glue that they put in there to make it like concrete is today. And they filled in these to flatten them out all the way down. And I have seen on videos of, Brian Forrester going out to these pyramids asking questions. How did this happen? How did that happen? I tried to comment on that and I wasn't successful, but I do understand they use, yes, geopolymers, but they stripped all these things down to make the pyramids. They didn't build them from the bottom up. They built them from the top down. See, even the ancients knew this. This is Cairo, ancient map of Cairo they're talking about. And these are the pyramids. They're showing them on top of tree trunks. Well, they weren't tree trunks. They were feet of giants. They didn't realize it, but yes, they were feet of giants. And they stripped them back from tendons. They showing them like they carved them off of tree stumps. But they weren't tree stumps. They were tendons of giant feet, just exactly as the Devil's Tower is. You see this? This pyramid arch, I believe it only goes from here up to here and like just right over in this area up to here. And it's just a buttress to hold this up because there was a blood vessel here. These are all the same blocks. Just the blocks that I showed you, exactly the same. And nobody built this up from the bottom up. This came from the top down. Now, I kid you not, this is true. This is Mount Spur, which is my last name, and this is in Alaska. And I believe this is part of the digestive system, primarily the erectum of this Scrubzilla. Now watch where it comes down. It comes down and it comes out here. Watch what it comes into. Watch what it does when it comes out here. This is all the stuff. This side, basically, is from Mount Spur. And what does it turn into? It turns into this poop. That's what it is. It's poop. And that comes out and it mixes with this, which is the urine side of an avian creature. If I'm wrong, have some avian person, some bird person tell me. I don't think I am. This is the Mount Spur poop. This is from the urinary tract. And they mix together and then they dump out into, I believe it's Cook Inlet here, right here. Now, it's still flowing juices and things that are from a digestive system, I believe. This is basically a rectum. I mean, I'm sorry. People always used to call me that, but I didn't realize it was a Spur family trait. Anyway, that is Scorbzilla. Of course, he's upside down right now. Turn him around, and there it is. Scorbzilla runs the whole length up to here. There's where Mount Spur is, right there. And then his tail runs off. It's time to start looking at this altogether different. You saw what I just showed you. Now, they all appear to have 3 beards. They all appear to be avian, which is interesting. They all appear to be red-blooded, as far as I can determine. I've seen, I'm sure of most of them at any rate. Obviously, they're pretty good size. And what does it say in the ancient texts? And, you should read Apollodorus, because that is just, if that's true, oh my goodness. And it does seem to be true. It talks about the one in Typhon with his head brushing the stars, and exactly his dimensions, and his legs look like thighs of a human, the thighs only. Then they turned into coils, and I verified exactly that's true. So I'm looking at things, again, let me put it that way. None of this stuff I would have ever even given a moment to if I had not discovered mud fossils. And I did discover them, and they are what they are. So you either just go on about, being deluded, because, delusion is happiness. It really is. What do they say? Happiness is ignorant? No, I can't even remember what it is now. But people that can just dismiss things, they seem to be happy people. I can't dismiss it, and I got to tell you, it's a hard place to be when every time you want to say something, you know that everybody's just going to laugh, and they won't take the time to see it. That's the key. Now, the people that will take the time, those are the people I appreciate. Those are the people, and obviously you're here. So you're taking the time, and if you can't see it, well, then you can't see it. If you can see it, you see it. Now, speaking of this Thursday, now today is, I believe, Tuesday. Thursday, I'm going to have a thing with Michael Tellinger at 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, USA. And it's going to be on Zoom, and I'm going to put a link to the Zoom meeting. I don't know, he's hosting it, so all I know is I'm going to be there, and we're going to be talking. And he's a guy with an open mind, very, very good guy, nice. So let's find out. And he knows that I have a whole different take on things than he does. Not completely, but, well, we're going to be getting into it. Just come to the show and you'll see. I have a lot of, I did look a lot of his videos, and I've been seeing him lately. He's been posting a lot. And I do have differences in times and, different types of stone and so forth. Now, I want to talk about his stone circles too, because he's got a fabulous, he's right in Africa. So he's got the place, he's on site there. And a lot of things going on in Africa. But it's going on everywhere in the world. So we'll have to find out what we find out as we go along. But it just keeps getting deeper and deeper and weirder. And the more I go back to the ancient texts, it just keeps making more and more sense. But I got to be honest with you, it's to a point of being a little bit scary. And I think there is, from what I'm seeing and from what I'm reading, you're going to need a savior. You decide who that savior is going to be. That's all I can say.